Good
Yeah, I'm
evening.
ready.
We call the regular meeting of the regular September meeting of the Cross Lake City Council to order here at 7 p.m. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see we have a few additions to the agenda. We need a motion to approve the additions to the
I make
agenda.
a motion to approve.
Motion Hecox,
Second.
second Nelson, I think. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public forum. Now, let's start with the consent calendar. Notice here, all items listed here on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the city council, will be acted upon by one motion, and there will be no separate discussion on these items unless a citizen or a council member so requests. Need a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion Wessels,
Second.
second Hecox. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, the public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised here. If appropriate, the issues will be placed on a future agenda of the council. Speaker must state their name and address, and each speaker is given 3-minute time limit, more if they request. Anybody got anything they want to step forward and speak to? Then we'll move on to the mayor's report. There's a letter in my packet from the Crow Wing County Highway Department concerning a future highway project, and if I'm not mistaken, it's County Road 16. They will be repaving, overlaying, I believe, 16 in 2017. The bridge will be resurfaced as well. Any comments? Also, I have a memo dated September 12, 2016 from the Economic Development Group, and it notes that there is a resignation from Bill Forsyth, who has been reappointed as an alternate member. In addition, it is recommended that Dean Fitch be reported as a replacement for Bill's position. I suspect we need a motion on that, which I will ask for. We need a motion to approve Dean Fitch on the EDA Commission.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it, and I want to mention
Second, comments?
Mr. Forsyth had some severe back surgery and such, and he just hasn't been able to attend regularly the last few meetings. And he said now his workload is so, trying to get caught up from missing so much work. He just, he still wants to be involved, and he's been a good member of thing, but his health has caused him to do this. And Mr. Fitch agreed to take his position, so the EDA voted unanimous to do that.
Thank you, Mark. We have a motion and a second, motion by Hecox, second by Wessels, to approve both the resignation and the appointment of Dean Fitch to the EDA Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Also have a memo dated September 7th from Joy Lotz and Ron Schooneman concerning a no-wake zone in southern Cross Lake. That would be the area on the opposite side of the bridge to Dream Island. Is that right? No, Sunrise Island, excuse me. And I think there's a few folks here who want to speak to that issue. I can also speak to it. And first, I guess I will say that the city has no jurisdiction on water. So, and I've heard that the rumor is that the city council requested that the no-wake buoys be removed. And I don't know that that is true. I don't remember it happening during my watch. Any comments to that effect? All right. We have a petition here from the group that asking that we do something about it. And I think that what we really should do is my recommendation that we support their position on establishing that area as a no-wake zone. Comments from the council, please. Can I ask you a question then? Are we in support of the position of making that area, which is the opposite side from the bridge, a no-wake zone?
You just said we have no jurisdiction.
We can recommend, we can stand behind our citizens. We have no jurisdiction, but we can support their position.
You better wait till tomorrow to find out if you're only representing 3%, 5%, or if you're representing a majority.
Well, I'm sure we're not representing the transient boat owners that roar through there.
I don't know if you're representing anybody else that lives on the Whitefish Chain, perhaps, other than somebody that lives on Sunrise Island. I'd be very careful about that. Don't want to go there. We have no position. That would be my position. We have no position. The county will address that tomorrow. This city council has absolutely no basis of weighing in on this whatsoever. Leave that to the Water Patrol, leave that to the county and the Sheriff's Department, and let that be fought and started tomorrow. You might be representing 2 or 3 property owners here, you're representing 5. What about everybody else that boats and lives on the chain? Yeah, I don't think you want to touch it. That's all I'm going to say about that. You better know that you're representing a majority of the people, meaning 51 solid percent, that own property on the Whitefish Chain before you start messing with these close throttle areas, which have just gone rampant and nuts for 10 to 15 years and have just screwed up so much boating on this chain you don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut right there, but city council doesn't weigh in. City council doesn't support anything on this. Leave it to the county. Let the battles be fought there. I can't believe this is even sitting here being talked about. Wasting time.
First of all, any other comments from the council? Sir?
Jerome Jerry.
Come up here, please.
I'm sorry.
Announce, give us your name and your address and the issue you're speaking to.
My name is Jerome Jurek, 34054 Sunrise Island Road, and that no-wake, or that channel goes right by my house, and I have to address a couple of things, but number one, you are Nelson, right?
Yes, sir.
You own CNC, right?
Yes, sir.
So isn't that a conflict of interest for you to be here being negative about it when you sell the boats and you have been complaining? I've been here for 18 years and you have been complaining. 18 years ago when we were in Brainerd in the courthouse trying to get this a no-wake zone, you were complaining then because you sell these boats and you're going to hurt your business. And you were on a city council and you were being negative. That's a conflict of interest. You should excuse yourself from this agenda meet part and not say another word. Secondly, as far as 51% or 151%, I'll tell you what, I have a screen imports that I sit on a lot. And of the people that go by after the no-wake zone, it was unanimous comments that I heard about it should have been done a long time ago. And it's finally, everybody would say it's about time. This needed to be done a long time, being a no-wake zone. The only negative comment I heard was from a kid I say kid, he sounded like he was about 15 years old, on one of those wakeboard boats that make waves this high. He's the only one, he used all the vulgar language he could to express to the people that he was riding within the boat that their rights were being we're being violated by this being a no-wake zone, and they ought to sue because it's a no-wake zone. Otherwise, everybody else says, that I've heard, could hear, it's about time this was a no-wake zone. Thank you.
Is this the jurisdiction of Cross Lake? This is the question. Is this our jurisdiction? Do we decide yes or no?
Is this what?
Is this our jurisdiction? Do we decide yes or no?
We can't decide. I
Okay,
understand that,
then
but
what's
we
the
can.
conversation about here?
We can represent our citizens. And that's all I'm asking tonight. Please come forward, sir.
Hi, I'm Martin Sundquist. I am the personal representative for Joy Lutz. She's not able to be here tonight. I'm her son.
Wait a minute, where are you from? Where do you live?
Joy Lutz, whose name is listed here on the memo, is my mother. She
Okay,
had
thank
2 surgeries on Friday and is in the hospital in Twin Cities. I'm her personal representative. I am also owner of the property at 33986 Sunrise Island Road. I own a wakeboard boat. I've been water skiing all my life. I've been wakeboarding all my life. I drive the boats that Mr. Nelson sells in his dealership. I can tell you this, that the space between the island and the mainland is incredibly unsafe. We've had some very serious situations in the last 20 years since we've been there. We've sustained damage on our personal property. We have other neighbors here that have sustained damage to their personal property. It may not be the jurisdiction of this council, but your support is meaningful. And I think it would be reasonable for you to support it. I think there's liability here. I think that governing bodies eventually could be held accountable for some of their decisions. You can choose to not support it. You have one member who's been very vocal for 20 years on it. We're not sure of his motives. I share a lot of the same interests that he does. I'm a power boater. I love to drive my boat fast. But to slow down so we have safe waters in a small part of the lake, this is less than 0.5% of the entire acreage of Cross Lake. I've boated all over the world. I've boated all over the state. I spent about half my time on this chain of lakes. I spent about half my time on a similar chain of lakes in the cities. And I can tell you, the traffic that's happening in front of the island right now is at dangerous levels.
Thank you, sir. Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Randy Wishman, 34006 Sunrise Island Road. First of all, I'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here and for taking the time to see us. I believe that our place is on probably the narrowest part of the channel. Of course, we all have our own little private agendas, but our boat has been hit and totaled sitting on the boat lift. That was in 2000. Had to replace the whole thing. Our dock was hit and totaled in 2014 in September. And I wasn't there at the time, but the neighbor did say that my solar lights were on when it was hit. And I have 4 solar lights. I think 2 have broken. I have 2 right now currently that I keep on the end of my dock. To the front tip of my boat on the boat lift, I'm at 16 feet. At the back of the propeller, I'm at about 38. I can't put my boat on the boat lift level because I can't go out deep enough, so my boat sits at a slant. And you can see which place is mine. It says Wish on the back of the cover, on top of the canvas. So again, sure, personally I'd like to have a no wake zone, but I hope you guys never have to put up with somebody getting hurt coming through, because holiday weekends, they come through there 3 wide, looks like NASCAR. And you have kids that fall off of tubes, you have kids fall off of wakeboards, and there's nothing they can do. There's more boats coming through full speed. And I appreciate where you stand, Mr. Nelson. You're selling boats, I understand, but it is a safety concern. So, forget about me. Think about some poor kid. And if you can just support us, I guess we'd appreciate that, and appreciate not anybody getting hurt. Thank you.
My name is Gary Heltemus. I'm at 33569 Lake Street in Cross Lake. I just wanted to come up here and say that not all the people on Sunrise Island, or excuse me, it's not only the people on Sunrise Island that support that no-wake zone. Myself and several of my neighbors I know also do, because like the gentleman right before me said, the boats come down, flying through, they make a circle, and they fly right back out again. And that would, hopefully, that would slow that traffic down just a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marilyn Schoeneman, 33992 Sunrise Island Road. And I'm the one who had taken the petition around. There are over 80-some names on that petition, and there's only 15 homes on our island. So consequently, there are others who are supporting us. And so I guess I just wanted to clarify that it was not only the island people who have a concern. There are many others who also feel that this is a dangerous area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dick Phillips, 12292 Perkins Road. I do not live on anywhere near, well, I do live near the area that's being discussed right now. But why that thing has not been a no-wake zone 10, 15 years ago, and I've been on this chain since 1986. In fact, we bought our property in '68, so before that. But at any rate, this is a real public safety concern of mine. I see those kids coming through there, both directions on a tube behind a, well, anyway, it's very unsafe. I don't know if this body has any jurisdiction or not, but why there would be objections just blows my mind. I fully support, even though it doesn't affect me directly, indirectly, it's a very big concern for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Frank Ferguson. I live at 34068 Sunrise Island Road. I've been there for 23 years. It is there are a tremendous number of boats that go by. And one weekend, and I don't have a specific weekend, but it wasn't a holiday weekend, my wife and daughter were sitting out on the end of the dock, and they did an unofficial count, and I call it very unofficial. You can throw this number away if you don't care for it at all. But the count of the boats that just went one way. In 1 hour, 48 boats went by just one way. And all 48, of course, got to turn around and come back. And it's only about a 2-block long distance. And the configuration of that channel, the geography of it, puts the boats, because of the sandbars and stuff like that, are real close to the island. And because it's only 2 blocks, I just don't understand why anybody would object to slowing down for whatever it takes, an extra 5 minutes or whatever it takes to go that 2 blocks. And then they can power back up and, go as fast as they want all the way to, the next stop, which is, probably over all the way across the lake. But there's, what is the rush? This isn't like, a 35W freeway or anything like that. You got a half a day to get there, and you got a half a day to get back. And why do you have to go by, 30, 40, 50 miles an hour or whatever they go in one little area? Well, that's all I got to say. It's definitely a safety issue.
Thank you, sir. Well, keeping the meeting moving, I'm not sure if the council should take a position on this or not, if we should talk among ourselves. Mr. Administrator, what is your recommendation, comment?
It's really your call. I mean, if someone wants to make a motion, it's up to you to call for it. If no one makes a motion, you move on.
Brad? Mr. Attorney?
Well, I agree. It's completely a political question whether you want to weigh in or not. I mean, legally, I think that's clear. It's more of a political decision.
I don't see it as a political decision, but that's all right.
By political decision, he says we don't have, I think he refers to the fact that if we vote in favor or against, it isn't going to matter. The county's going to do what the county's going to do.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that we take an authoritative, legalistic position, but I do think that in support of our citizens, we could agree to support their request with the governing body, which is not Cross Lake. And that's all I'm saying. I just looked this over before, and I understand that we really have nothing more than encouragement and support for the people who want the boat slowed down in there for safety reasons.
What's the meeting tomorrow? That's the point of the meeting tomorrow. If you want to support it, you just show up tomorrow morning at the county.
Okay.
The meeting's tomorrow morning. And it's really that simple. It's,
We can't, as individuals, represent the city of Cross Lake as a council member. We either have to say the council is in support of them or not, or we
Yes.
could just move on.
As individuals, you can go down there and support whichever position you want. You can say that you're a council member, but you gotta have to
Well, you
also
can't-
say that you
Can't
also
vote
have.
as a council member.
Listen to me. You can say that you are a council member. You can't claim to represent the council.
I don't see the difference. So my point is this. Oh, I've gotten tagged for that.
Yeah, I know, I read the thing. It was at my encouragement that you saw that.
All right. Now, my question still is, do we just want to pass on this? Or do you want to do any type of consensus, or should we just
The real,
acknowledge that they've been here and move on?
if the county's gonna change the speed limit somewhere, and we're gonna weigh in on that too, and where does it stop? That's the thing. I agree and I understand why there's a petition with this many autographs on it.
Sure.
I wish they could do a no wake on Saturdays and Sundays and leave it the way it is the rest of the week when I'm using it. Because I don't get out there on Saturdays and Sundays, except on rare occasion, and I know what they're talking about. There's a lot of boats going pretty fast through there. So I have empathy for their position, and I think tomorrow morning's the time that should get resolved with the county. And I think there's some laws already on the books that might help them out, as far as how far you have to be away from a dock, closed throttle, and that channel is fairly close to some of those docks. It might already be required that be no wake. But as far as us here, I think we've got plenty on our plate today, and I agree they have the right to do this, and they should go down there tomorrow, make their case, and I think they have a pretty good case. But it's not our decision to make, and so I don't want to get into it.
That's right.
The problem you have is even when there's no wake signs up, nobody obeys them. I live on the Daggett Channel. They go through there half wide open all the time, and I mean, I've spent a lot of money doing shoreline and stuff. What needs to happen is the county needs to clamp down on these people.
Dave?
They don't issue tickets, they don't do anything. They wave at them, and then they slow down until they're out of sight, and then they go again.
Yep.
I don't know how you stop it.
Well, there's a bigger issue.
And that's all no wake by me, and they go through there with the tubes and stuff like that, and I just shudder at the fact that some little kid's gonna get cut up someday.
Even an adult, anybody. I live on the main lake, and they go by 10 feet from my dock. And so the problem isn't only the channel, it is the basic consideration that boat owners have for what they're doing and the safety of the people that are around there. There was a comment out here, and we're going to move on.
I'd just like to observe that there were some no-wake buoys put into this area for a period of time this summer, and it was the safest that area's been in 20 years. People respected those buoys, and they slowed down for them. There were a few boats that didn't. But for the majority that there were those that did respect it. I'll state for myself, it was the safest we've seen that portion of the body in a long time. There are other options that you may consider. There are lakes that have made, so you mentioned in the main part of the lake where people go close to the lock, close to your dock. On Lake Minnetonka, for instance, which is a very similar sized chain of lakes, they've imposed a rule that has no wake within 150 feet of any dock, regardless of where you are, 120-mile portion of the lake. There are a couple of bays that are quiet bays. Gray's Bay, I can't ski on Gray's Bay, which, okay, I ski on Wayzata Bay. But that 150-foot rule applies to all areas of the lake and has really greatly helped our docks down in that region.
Who made the rule?
The Lake Minnetonka Water Conservation District, it's available online, you can see it.
That's the problem we're in here.
There have been cities, though, if you do some nationwide searches, you can see where cities have, Cross Lake does not in its entirety land in the city limits of Cross Lake, but, you're the people that are in elected positions here, you probably know this better than I do, but I do think there are options that you could look at that would help your situation and help the situation of many of these tax-paying homeowners here. Thank you.
Technically, from a legal standpoint, we cannot patrol it, control it as the city of Cross Lake. We can recommend, and there seemed to be some resistance to that here as well. Rather than embarrass anybody, I would like to hear the results of you attending the county commissioners meeting. And if you don't get any kind of reaction there, maybe we should do something. However, they are the ones who are really in charge of this. And we could recommend that they put in buoys. I never knew I didn't know that they had removed the no-wake buoys down there. For many years, when I would boat down there, that was a no-wake zone. So I think that's, what?
Never has been.
How many never? 30, 40 years?
The end of June this year, they put it in.
But they've been in before that.
No, they got buoys, but not no-wake buoys.
That was a hazard buoy, Mr. Mayor.
Hazard.
Oh, well, fair enough. Okay, very good.
When we went down there to try to get it 18 years ago, whatever it was, they put that engineering, and that did.
Well, in that case, I would like to hear back from you. What happens when you present this petition to the county commissioners? And I don't think there's anything we can do here tonight. I hear there's some very adamant positions, some very neutral positions. I happen to be on the opposite side of that, but I am the recipient of some of the nasty boating habits as well. So I would like to hear back from you after you have attended the county commissioners meeting tomorrow, please. Are you all right with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. In fact, I may go. I don't know. I go to county meetings on occasion just to see what they're up to down there.
Yeah.
We live in Crow Wing County, so it's not a bad idea to go down there once in a while.
All right. Speaking of those kinds of things, I have another thing that I'd like to know what we can do about. We've had a tremendous increase in deer population here this year. I think most of the female deers, the does, have had 2 births, one in the early spring and then again here in the midsummer. I cannot figure out. I counted 4 of them on the way over here. I've only hit 8 deer while I've lived here in Cross Lake, and at a rate of $2,000 a hit, more or less, it gets to be expensive. Is there anything we can do? Something to think about.
It's supposed to be a cold winter. That'll take care of it.
Huh?
It's supposed to be a cold winter. That'll take care of it.
There's been a couple, some cities have, a hunting zone map change is one possibility. I don't think Manhattan Point might be a good spot for that. But also there's been cities that have gone in basically to have professionals come in and take out some of the herd. Down in the metro, that's been done. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but I mean, there have been things done by other cities.
Yeah. Well, I just
There
throw
was
that
more for
out for
vegetation,
comment.
I think, you know,
Huh?
for down there, I think it was more, not the traffic issues aren't true as well, but they were eating all the vegetation, I think, is the reason why it was done down there.
That goes without saying. They have to eat something. Anyway, I don't know, I've been requested by several residents to bring it up in front of the council. It would seem to me that the first step in that is notifying or contacting the DNR and finding out if there's anything we can do. And I'm being a tree hugger, and I don't hunt deer, so it's an interesting proposition. Sir?
Is it okay to approach?
Well, if we can hear you.
Come up here.
I'm sure you can hear me.
No, you're not. You don't know what it's
I
like
want to know
to...
if I could ask you a question.
Sure,
Bob Perkins, 35333, County Road 37.
I've heard about you.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Thank you for coming
I
forward.
used to be an avid archer in this area, and I think there was some regulations changed about bow hunting a few years ago, but, you know, I've noticed the deer population has increased significantly, and I'm worried about the safety of our patrons as they drive. I'm not suggesting to put a no-wake sign on the road. But, aside from that, though, I would, you know, we probably should have involved the DNR when we changed some hunting regulations and things like that, but I would encourage you to reach out to the state of Minnesota and work with the DNR on this, because it's a serious problem. We're going to see a lot more deer kills, which in turn is accidents, and it could cause to lives as
Absolutely.
well.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins, before you leave, are you still familiar with the archery rules for in Cross Lake now? Have they changed to lower the number of hunt, or have they changed?
I'm not that familiar, Mark, but
Not-
thanks for asking. No.
Okay. Okay.
I quit hunting because of a shoulder surgery.
Hard to
Aside
pull.
from that, I
Okay.
am familiar with the rifle regulations within the city.
Well, there's not much hunting you can do in town with those, but the archery, I know, there's
There
places you
happens to be a
can.
game refuge across from my driveway.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah.
That's, part of what I'm saying is rumor, and I don't have the statistics behind it. But I think the point I was making is we should reach out to the DNR. They might have a lot of agencies that will help us with this. And obviously, deer population has increased significantly. And probably the sales for deer off and things like that have as well.
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Any other questions, Mark?
No, thank you,
All right,
Bob.
thank you.
One of the problems is that you can only take one deer. So if you bow hunt, you can shoot a deer, then you can't rifle hunt. So
Well, my point is, if you can still bow hunt in town, but not that many people do that. I think you still can, but I was hoping Mr. Hartman would have the regulations, that's what I was
Here he
looking for.
comes.
If they've made them easier to hunt, harder to hunt, I don't know what's happened. I don't hunt.
Well,
This dog
a
don't
few
hunt.
years ago, when they readjusted the policy, you can't archery hunt within 200 feet of a residence.
How about
Rifle
rifle?
hunting is 500 feet.
Occupied or just a residence?
And normally occupied residence, without permission of the owner. So if I want to go and hunt next to Brad's house, I have to get his permission. And to address some of the comments, every year we get a lot of complaints, especially up on Manhattan, not of too many deer, but of the deer that are wounded and running around up there. Every single year we get a lot of those. I don't know what the solution is. I remember several years ago, Charlie addressed it, and he said the deer were here first. If you want to build these, put $10,000 smorgasbord up for the deer around your yard, that's up to you. So, I mean, that's just about a quote from what he said years ago. And, I've been here 20-some years, and I don't know that the population is as high as what it has been in the past. I mean, I used to see a lot more deer than I see now, just running around town. It's probably about the same. We've had fewer in past years, and I'm sure we're going to have more again, so.
Well, out toward your place, you can't go a mile without seeing 30 of them.
Yep, well, they planted clover in all the road ditches, so it makes a difference, so.
Feed the deer along the highway. They're safe
So
there.
and some of the cities do have a program set up where you can shoot deer with archery, and you have to, I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah. This
It's-
winter might
it's
take care of it.
quite a system.
If
Yeah.
we get the winter they're talking about, it might
Yeah.
take, Mother Nature might fix the problem.
And I've had several people come to me and know that I bow
keep you on your toes.
hunt and want me to bow hunt around their houses. Over on Sandpoint, I've had a couple, and Manhattan, I've had 4 or 5. And and Anchor Point, I've had a couple, and I just.
What's that?
I would love to, because I love to hunt. But
4 or 5 what?
people ask me to bow hunt on their property.
Oh, yeah.
But-
You have an extended invitation from me.
Yeah, well.
In fact, I'll even serve you a beer.
It's too close to the other people, and it just causes more problems than,
But that's my question of occupied. And
Yeah.
during deer hunting season,
yeah.
we're the only people for a half mile each direction. But be
Right.
that as it may. Thank you, Bob.
Let's get on to E.
Amen.
No, we got to do 3.
Gotta go up.
Oh,
We got to do number 3 here.
All right.
I thought he was later in the
The
day.
Minnesota Design Team will be visiting here this week and weekend, and Mr. Dean Fitch, who is our new member of the EDA, is here to talk to us about it.
Handouts for everybody here.
The Minnesota Design, I'm Dean Fitch. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and friends of Cross Lake. The Minnesota Design Team will be coming this weekend. I put the invitation up on the board for you to see. We're hoping that there'll be a good turnout. This process has gone back over a period of time. Since June, we've been working weekly to prepare for their visit. And on Friday night, the Cross Lake Lutheran Church is hosting a community dinner, at which time the Minnesota Design Team is going to reach out to the community to try to learn more about our community and what interest we have in it, and some of the ideas they're bringing. On Saturday night, they will show us their thoughts on what we might consider doing here in Cross Lake. And between the two, they got a full schedule, actually starting Thursday night, preparing for that event. What I'm here to talk about today, though, is just to give you a quick update on the process that's been afoot since we started this. So if I might, I'll just stick this up here. And I sent a handout around to you, so you really don't need to look at all this. But the Cross Lakers, that's the core team that's been working on this process since the beginning, going back to June, have been trying to reach out to the community at large. We've had weekly meetings since June, 3 public meetings, and a series of other outreach efforts to determine the community's interest in this whole process. As of this moment, we are beginning to move into the next phase. Once the Minnesota Design Team makes its presentation to us on Saturday night, they leave town, and then it's up to us in Cross Lake to decide whether we want to adopt some of, little of, all of, or some modification of what they're proposing. So we're now moving into that implementation stage, as I call it. Many of these projects look to be more like community development than economic development. So among other things, we think this may well be a project that needs to be somewhat in parallel with EDA, but it's probably not an EDA project. And we'll see that when we see the results of the meeting on Saturday. But in follow-up, what's happened with us is starting back in summer, in June actually, we began to develop a parallel process so that when the Minnesota Design Team leaves town, we have something in place to carry forward with. And so I just want to point out there's a general committee, and then there's 3 subcommittees that are actually have been put in place to do the follow-up. The first committee is the plan. These are the folks that are responsible for taking what it is that the Minnesota Design Team recommended to us and turning it into and fashioning as our program, our plan. And we don't know what that'll be yet because we don't know what they're going to recommend. But whatever that is, that group will be working starting 8 o'clock on Monday morning, the 19th, to refashion that into making it fit with Cross Lake. I'll give you a couple examples, or one example, I'll be quick. As we heard from the community at large, many requests or statements have come to us that we would like to see Cross Lake have some bit of growth, but we sure don't want to give up the wonderful heritage we have We're very concerned about the natural community that we live in and the beauty of it all. And so a lot of our orientation has been toward how do we keep Cross Lake the way it's been, but then move ahead with some of the ideas that they may bring. So that's the Plan Committee. Their work will take place basically over a 2 or 3 week period, but we're asking them to stick with that process for a period of maybe a year if it takes that long to finish it. The second subcommittee is funding. That began meeting back in June. And in the funding plan, what we've really been doing is looking at all matter of funding, including foundations and private resources that may support some part of this plan. So let's say the Minnesota Design Team comes up with a wonderful idea. We're going to see if there are resources in the community or foundations that would support that idea and help fund it for Cross Lake. And then the third is the Implementation Committee. This team will basically take whatever ideas are developed. Let's say there are 10 ideas that the Minnesota Design Team presents to us. There will be 10 work groups who will each focus on one of those issues, and then they will develop those issues and get it ready for to bring to the community at large. So that team, we're expecting, will be making about a 2-year commitment to the process. At the end of the day, we don't know exactly what we're going to be doing on Monday the 19th because we don't know what's going to be proposed. But this process is to get us started, get us ready, so that there's not a great big gap between their work and proposals and our beginning our work at our end. The General Committee finally is of Cross Lakers. That's all the folks that have been involved in this, that have been meeting every week since June. And we will, as we go forward, we will continue to bring from that group, hopefully monthly, back to the City Council, an update on where we are, what we've learned, what we're doing. And then as we come to items that need council approval, we would come back at the council again at that point in time. But this is just part of the process, just to get us ready to move ahead, depending on what it is that we hear and see from the Minnesota Design Team. So my final thing is, I would encourage you, if you can, please come to the Friday night and Saturday night evening meetings. I think you'll find those very rewarding and fun, and I'm excited to see what they have to say, even though I don't know what it is. So, and with that, I'll stop. Anyone have any questions for me?
Community, talk a little bit about community input into this, please, Dean.
Yes. Well, if you go back over a period of months, we began in June reaching out to the community, building an email list and a mail list to people who in one form or another had expressed some interest in this project. And so each week that list kind of grows, and we've been forwarding information about what we're doing to them. And then we had 3 public meetings. Each there was about 100 people. First was at the community center in June, and then the second was in Town Square in July, and the third was at Zorba's in August. And at each meeting, people stood up and said, this is what I think about Cross Lake, this is what Cross Lake means to me, and this is what I'd like to see Cross Lake continue to be for me and for my family. We heard from people who were long time residents. We heard from people who were weekenders. We heard from young people who had moved here from out of town just to live here and enroll their kids in school here. And so broad base of people involved and a lot of interest. So far, there's been a lot of interest in the project, Mayor. I think a lot of this has been built up over the time, and maybe I'm just excited about it because it's like my football coach in college used to say, it's like sticking your finger in your eye. It feels good when you quit. Well, we're going to be so glad when they make their presentation, then we know what we're talking about. But at any rate, so there's been a lot of public involvement, a lot of outreach. I would say altogether, between all the various vehicles we reached, somewhere between 350 and 500 people in the community. And still people are saying, well, so what is this? What does this mean? It's been a difficult question to answer because we don't know what's going to come of it. But I think Friday and Saturday will solve that problem. We'll know what it is that we have to look forward to and what we might want to do next. So, thank you.
Dean.
Thank you, sir.
Dean. And we will follow up these meetings with additional community meetings to review what has happened and where we are and what's going on. Okay. City Administrator's report.
I'm going to have Mike take 1 and 2 related to the budget.
Sure. Thank you.
What I have up on the screen is the results of our last two budget meetings. You remember back in 2 Mondays in August, we all met as a group and had a lot of discussion on the budget and the proposed levy for this next cycle. And what you have in front of you is the result of those meetings. And the recommendation for the 2016 paid 2017 levy is a total of $3,516,321. And that represents a 5% adjustment from last year. So what I'm looking for is either more discussion on it at this point or not. But what I would like is to have you approve a 5% increase on the preliminary levy. Now remember, we can always go down from there, but we can't go up.
We really have nothing to add.
Portion of the agenda.
No, nothing to add. We hashed the budget out over a couple of special meetings, so this is the recommendation, or at least what we propose. It's the 5%. You can go up or down or whatever at this point, but after you've set the preliminary, you can't go up.
All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve unless there's additional discussion that wants to go on here.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion Wessel, second Nelson, to approve the initial preliminary 2016 tax levy collectible in 2017. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
The second item on there, under City Administrator's Report number 2, is now that we have a preliminary levy, we need to set the public information meeting for 2016 levy collectible 2017. And we're recommending do that at your regular meeting here, just prior to the meeting at 6 on December 12th. And that's where we'd like to do the final levy certification.
We have additional budgeting meetings before that, right, or not?
We haven't discussed other days, but we can have more meetings as we get
Right.
better information.
So, need a motion to recommend the date for the public information meeting for the 2016 tax levy collectible in 2017. I'll need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion Nelson.
I'll second.
Second Hecox. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Under item 3, we talked about this during the budget discussions, a job classification and compensation study. We had a proposal from Springstead to do that. I have that in front of you. As I mentioned at our last meeting, I wanted you to see the proposal so you saw exactly what was proposed to be done. So I think it's necessary. It hasn't been done for over 25 years. The department heads talked about this during their discussions on their compensation plan and recommended that we go ahead with it. We got the proposal from Springstead, and I would approve. I would recommend that that you approve moving forward this. There is money in the budget. We had $13,000, I believe, $13,000 in the budget for ordinance codification, which is when you pass ordinances, you send them on to, is it Sterling we have? We've done that for the year, so there's plenty of money to cover this. That's already included in the 2016 budget, so we don't need to make any adjustments.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to approve Hecox. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second Nelson. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, we'll take number 4.
Sure. Number 4 is the health insurance renewal. I received information late last week on renewal proposal for the employee health insurance plan. And I had a few questions on that I got resolved this morning. So what we're proposing is that we accept our health insurance is through cooperative down in Sartell, Minnesota, through the Resource Training and Solutions, and it's a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan that we had in place for the year we're in right now. And what they're proposing is a single and a family rate for our staff. And overall, when when our group was looked at, we're looking at about an 8% increase overall for our health insurance adjustment. And if there's one area where it's good to be below average, this is one of them, because I have multiple articles on what an average increase is, and I'm seeing rates in 24%, 34%, so 8% is good. Where we run into some questions is when we roll those rates out to staff, because the rate I gave you is the overall rate for our group. So what we're seeing is a small decrease in the individual rate and a offsetting increase in the family rate. So what does that mean to our staff? And I know this is the first time they're hearing it. So what we'll be seeing is we'll be looking at the employee's share of the proposal. The individual rate will go down about $18 a month. That's a decrease of $18 a month. Now on the family group, it looks like we're looking at about a $41 increase. So overall, when you add up all the contracts for single and family, it comes to about an 8% overall increase for our group, which I think is good. So I'm recommending we stay with the plan that we have and go ahead and authorize me to get the paperwork done to put that in place.
Is that $41 a month, I assume?
Correct, for the employee share.
Who picks that up?
That's the employee's share. That's the adjustment for the employee's share of the premium. So we're seeing both a decrease in one group and an increase in the other.
Comments from the council?
The 8% increase, that is our share, city share, or is that employee share?
No, when I look at the whole group, all the city employees as a group that are on the insurance, the adjustment for the group as a whole is about 8% increase. When I look at it between what the single rate looks like compared to the family rate, they're different, okay?
Right. But so this 8% increase is what the employees are paying? The increase.
The city pays 80% of the health insurance.
So everybody's
and the employees
paying.
pay 20%.
So we've got an 8% increase as well.
So
All right.
it's 8%.
So there you're saying their share would be $16? The employee's share? If we pick up 80%?
Employees' share is $41.
Yeah.
So ours
The
is,
employee's share
yep.
per month?
The increase amount.
23 cents an hour.
Whoa.
And I assume you mean 8% is good compared to other plans that are significantly worse. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So-
You know, and part of what's driving those premium increases is, remember, you know, we were held to a fairly low deductible relative to other plans in the market, so you know, those will cost more.
So you need an approval for this? You need a motion for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Also move.
Second.
Motion Nelson, second Schrupp.
Wes?
Has this
Motion
been
Wessel.
discussed with the employees? Do they know what's coming?
They do now. No, we just got our final questions answered this morning.
What's in their union contract, what the shares are, as far as the increase. Yeah, as far as the increase goes, I think this is really a good rate. An 8% adjustment is pretty low. You're talking about health insurance, so it is what it is. I mean, we can talk to them about it. We're certainly handed out there, but it's not like there's going to be a lot of changes that we can make, so.
Compared to private enterprise, 8% is absolute phenomenal. Good job, Mike.
Let me put this in front of you. Here's an article that I took out of USA Today, it looks like, back middle of August. And I've highlighted the important item on there, which basically says insurers are seeking approval for an average national premium increase of 24%. So I'm happy we're below average with respect to insurance.
Yeah.
So, and other places are a lot higher.
It's going to be fairly costly for all of us. We, on average, gave a couple of percentage points, 2, maybe 3% increase.
Well,
Is the $41 covered with their pay increase this year?
I'm talking about 2017. We haven't talked about adjustments for
I
2017.
assume we're talking about the coming year.
Right. So I can't answer your question because those adjustments haven't been made for all staff.
What is the premium for the total that we get billed for family and individual? Do you happen to know?
A single premium is $664.50 for 2017, and for a family, it's $1,660.50. So that's a $90 reduction for a single policy. That's a $206 increase for a family policy. Of that amount, the employee pays 20%. So if you're on a single policy, you'll see an $18 a month reduction. If you're on a family policy, you'll see about $41.21 increase. And that's to stay with the same policy, same level of benefits, just like we have today. Now, bear in mind, we've had 3 different providers in the last 4 years. So I don't think we want to go back and not accept this. I mean, my recommendation is to accept this renewal and continue with a stable policy and move forward.
I already made the motion to go ahead. I don't remember who seconded it. Schrupp, I think you seconded? Yeah.
Motion to approve Wessels. Is there a second here?
Mr.
Yeah,
Schrupp already did.
I seconded it already.
Second Schrupp. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Under item 5, disband Gross Lake Communications Advisory Board, no longer needed since the company has been sold.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I have a question.
Boy, I do too. Go ahead.
Well, I understand we don't own the company anymore, so the advisory board isn't probably needed, but should we have some way, maybe not an advisory board, but some way to, like a liaison sort of council member or somebody that talks to them at least quarterly and gets updates or something? I don't know if that's something we should do. Probably wouldn't need to be part of this. I just, how are we monitoring their progress along some of the promises they made in that purchase agreement, that sort of thing? I'm still hearing people complaining about cable TV and my signal's bad, and, you know, we had a lot of storms this summer, a lot of wind. I know that's part of it, but if I keep hearing those and stuff, people think the service is getting worse. That was one of the things when we sold it. We were hoping that they would improve the service, and of course, they've only been there for a couple of days, so they haven't had a chance to do anything yet, or a couple of weeks, but should we keep somebody instead of, I guess, the motion's to disband the advisory, maybe we should just deal with that, but I wanted to put that thought out there that we should probably have somebody check in at least quarterly with them and just see, hey, how are things going? What can we do for you? What can you do for us? You know, we have these road projects going up, and if they're going to expand cable or fiber, you know, we should be talking to them somehow or other.
I agree with Mark. I think that the disbanding of the advisory board may be premature at this point. What does that do with our liaison?
He's out of job.
Amen.
Gets them off the hook. Gets them off the hook.
Well, I'm just curious. You know, we've gone from providing a service to our community to having no say. And I'm not sure that that's really what we've been charged with as a council, and I think we should somehow have some influence or mechanism for communicating with them to know where they're going and how we're doing it.
Well, if I could, for a second, some of your concern is addressed in item 6 on the agenda, and I've been communicating with them several times a week on a variety of different issues. And, Brad, I pulled you in on a couple things too, one of which is, how are they doing? One of the requests they've made, and I think it's a reasonable request, is they've asked for an extension of time to complete one of the contractually listed items in the contract, which is, we need to close August and get an audit done. And that's really tough to do, 45 days to get your books closed and a full-blown audit to validate some of the calculations. I know you've still got a motion on the table for the advisory board, so maybe we should go back to that.
So what is your suggestion?
First is to finish up with number 5, because I believe there is a motion on the table to disband the advisory board. And that kind of morphed into how do we keep them accountable, which will be covered in item number 6.
And I apologize for that.
Yep.
We can go
No,
ahead
that's
with number 5. Let's talk about number 6 in a minute.
Mr. Mayor, and maybe Mr. Nelson knows, there's another meeting, a wrap-up meeting that I heard. Debbie's having, maybe we should wait another month on this, and maybe they can make a suggestion to TRICO to stay involved somehow.
Yeah, that could certainly
That could be
done, I
brought
think,
up
if
at
you
that
wanted to
meeting, and
Just set it back 30 days.
That makes some sense to me, too. We'll get a suggestion from the advisory committee
see
that we're
what
no
they
longer
say,
needed.
Would you guys entertain that we rescind the motion and table it for now?
Yes.
Would you, Brad?
Yes, that's fine.
And I'll-
Yeah, the only reason this was really there was since we don't own the company anymore, we don't have any say anyway. So
Right.
this was just a formality to say, it just needs to be done as a formality because we're not active and we're not, we don't have any influence or anything at this time. So that's all that was, but if
That's not
it
exactly
makes it more
true, as we
comfortable.
still have to go through an audit. There are several things we're obligated to do under the sales contract. Is that not true, Mike?
Well, let's just table it, and we'll get back to this next month. I'll make a motion to table it until next meeting.
Seconded.
Motion Wessels, second Schrupp to table the item 5 of disbanding of Cross Lake Communications Advisory Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're good? Number 6?
All right.
You all right with that? All right.
Yep. Item 6, in the asset purchase agreement, there was a clause or a contractual requirement that, we get the books closed at the phone company and have an audit, basically, so we can look at what's called the working capital calculation. And in order to do that, TRICO, and I agree with them, is requesting another 45 days to complete that, so that'd get us to the end of November. The asset purchase agreement says, you must have this done within 45 days, and then you can look at the working capital calculation and decide whether or not you agree with it or not. 45 days is really tight, especially when you're selling a business and trying to get a closed set of books and an audit done at the same time. So I'm recommending that you approve an extension of time from 45 days to 95 days to complete that work.
I have no problem with that. I'm not sure I fully understand what's happening here, but if we're still on the hook for 90 days, we should recognize that in any of the decisions we make.
Well, we're not on the hook, we're just requesting time to complete the work.
Well, who's computing that? Who's calculating that? Who's figuring
Both
that?
of us are,
Huh?
both TRICO and the
Okay,
city.
very good.
I'll make the motion, we extend
Motion
the time
Schrupp.
to 90 days.
I'll second it.
Second, Hecox, to extend the length of time to complete Cross Lake Communications capital calculations, extending it to 90 days. All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Planning and zoning. Any other items on your agenda, Mr. Volk?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members.
Good evening, John.
I have 2 items on the agenda tonight from planning and zoning. The first one was a preliminary replat that was heard at the August 26th Planning Commission meeting. and it was for a replat of Highway 103 storage, and they're calling it their first edition. And basically what they've asked for is one of the original buildings that was built there. And you'll see on here, it's this building right here. The actual interior, the size of that building is not going to change from what it is now, but the interior of that building was not built to match the plat. They went in and some of the rooms were supposed to be smaller than others, and when they built it, they built all of the rooms the same size. So to clean up the legal piece of that, they want to correct that. So that's part of the replat.
All this is?
Oh, and there's a little bit more.
Okay.
Over on the end here, they have not built this piece right here on the end, and because of the changes that have come about since county has come in, one of the changes was the setback from commercial lots that are adjacent to each other went from 20 feet to 5. So because of that change, they're asking if they can expand and make several larger storage units within that building that's going up because of the new requirements that we have, that they are able to meet all of the setbacks. Everything else is working out there at 49.9% impervious on the lot where 50% is required, or the maximum of 50% would be there. They have a stormwater management plan. One of the recommendations that were put forth from the Planning Commission was that they implement their stormwater management plan as shown. We did have some comments from other people that asked about screening from the original conditional use that was given here. If that's something you throw in, what we would plan to do then before I issue the permit for that last building is to readdress in the permit itself the current screening requirements that the city has. We can make that a condition of the permit itself. So what we're putting forward today is this preliminary plat that was a recommendation from the Planning Commission for you to approve, and then basically in the same motion to approve the final plat, which is, this is the final plat and it's just cleaned up. It doesn't have all the additional items on there. So do you have any questions on this one?
So you're correcting the first building that was built?
Correct.
And haven't built the one that would be on the east side?
Yes.
So we're asking for a somewhat larger building?
Correct,
But
to
that building
accommodate
was-
the larger rooms inside.
If I remember right, that building has always been in the plan somewhere.
That is correct. It is one of those that was original to the 2006 conditional use permit.
And there were some recommendations or requirements, including screening, that were made on this years ago.
That's
Are those
correct.
still
I
enforced?
looked it up,
Yeah.
and the screening requirement was to satisfy the staff.
Satisfy the staff?
That was the wording in the conditional use. So I don't know if they were satisfied or not because there's no notes in there. So what we would do is impose now the current screening requirements that we have in our ordinance.
Yeah, I think they did, Mr. Mayor. They made an attempt to install or dig in some trees on the west side and on the south side, but as far as I can tell, after looking at it today, there's only one of about
Yes.
8, 9 trees that are alive today, so.
So your recommendation is?
I would recommend that we go with John's recommendation on pursuing the current screening standards and have a discussion with them.
Was the current screening standards more than what is there now, according to the staff
Yes, it would be,
satisfaction?
along the southwest and west edge of the property.
I think you're right.
So
Okay.
the issue that we have there is, is it more than what they originally were required? I don't know what the staff wanted them to do because there's no notes in there on what they
Well, I can
wanted.
tell you, we wanted it screened so it wasn't visible from the Wild Wind Ranch area. But that, we're not here to debate that tonight, I understand that. But if
So-
your requirement, if the staff requirement is somewhere in that vicinity, I think it would be a good idea.
And it would be, yes.
All right.
Dave, did you make that in the form of a motion?
I can. I'll make a motion, we approve your, or the commission's recommendation.
So
I'll
it'd be
second it.
for the preliminary plat and also the final plat.
Yes.
With the screening requirement?
Yes.
Yes, all that stuff. Okay,
Does that include the screening requirements?
yes.
As we understand them today.
That's fine. Okay.
I seconded it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the preliminary and final replat of the Highway 103 storage addition, correcting some issues and completing the buildings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The second and last one I have is a rezoning. We call it a land use map amendment. And it is for a 9 or so acre piece of property that's down on the very south end of the city. We have, it's the area that's in red right here. They've asked to rezone that from commercial light industrial to rural residential 5. And I believe the reason behind that is they have someone that, it's actually a residential dwelling on the site right now. They have someone that's interested in purchasing it, but they're trying to go with a VA loan, and the VA will not allow them to purchase commercial property. Went through the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission recommended that you approve the rezoning.
Well, that answers a lot of questions. I could not figure that out. It
Yes.
didn't make any sense to me. Now I understand. Is that adjacent to existing residential zoning?
Yes, it is. On the north side, the dark blue that you see there is rural residential 5. On the east side is actually state land.
Yeah, super. Need a motion to approve, unless there's more discussion to be had here.
Also move.
I'll
Motion
second.
Wessels. Second Hecox to amend the land use map, request from American National Bank. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Public Works, Ted Strand.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. What I have before you is a proposal from WSN for the 2017 street project. And at the budget, we had some discussion that we wanted to start the design this fall, so we're ready to bid first thing in the spring. And to do that, we got to authorize WSN to start with the survey and whatever else is needed. Their overall proposal is $191,500 to complete the design, the bidding, and the inspection of it. What they're looking for, I guess, would be this year, about $75,000 of costs that we would incur in 2016 for the 2017 project. So with that, I'd need a council motion to move forward. All of the Public Works Commissioners were in favor of this.
And this is just doing the 2017 road projects. We had talked at one time about moving a bunch of projects ahead. We're not, this is just what's on.
Just the 2017.
What's on that sheet.
Yep, on that last sheet you
On
got.
that sheet for 2017.
Yes.
And this number, they did say this number, their cost is included in the cost that we see at $1,332,000.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's not on top of $1,332,000, it's part of it, so.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, this includes the roads, includes the trails. Okay. Does include
And that's
that.
yet to be determined by the council whether they're going to move forward with this or not, but
Right.
that could be pulled out at another time.
Yep. But it is doing all of the survey work to add the, whatever, 4, 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, whatever it is added onto that. I just want to make sure we knew that, so.
But as we discussed when we were talking about budget, we have the time here to look at the end, you know, the end design when it comes to the trails and that type of thing. Right?
Yes.
So
Exactly
how that's. We're not saying right up front that we're going to, you know, do all those, but we're just saying that we, in the, you know, the budget and the design, we've got that figured in, and then we can always adjust from there. I think we discussed that the trail is part of the road. That's the initial cost estimate, not separate from the road like it is on Manhattan Beach.
It's a wide spot on the side.
Wide shoulder.
Wide shoulder.
But like you said, it could be pulled out at any time.
Right, that amount would be paid from other funds other than the bonding. And I just want to remind you, too, that the engineering costs can be, or will be included with the bonds. So there'll be $75,000 in 2016. That is paid for out of our undesignated or whatever reserves, and then that will be replenished when the bonds are levied.
Now, this is based on the revised design standards where we don't clear out the woods and put a freeway in? Is that
That's
right?
just putting back what's there today, just
All
like I
right.
told you at the budget meeting.
You shouldn't say it that way, but it's easier. Any other comments? Do I hear a motion? What do we want to do?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion Schrupp to approve the WSN proposal for engineering services for the 2017 Cross Lake Street improvements. Design, bidding, construction, phase services. That would include inspection then during the construction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did we get a second?
Mr. Schrupp made the motion, is that
Yes,
right?
Mr. Schrupp made the motion.
I'll second it.
Second, Wessels. You have a comment?
Well,
Mark?
we're going to work on this a little bit, and I guess we're going to have some more conversations on it as we go. There's, East Shore Road, I live on that road, I'd love to have new tar there, but Mr. Strand did an excellent job of filling the cracks on it, so I don't complain anymore. So I don't know if that would have to be done right away or not, but, and then on the shoulders, on the trails and stuff, I think we need to have some conversations going forward on, I'm hearing from a lot of people, myself included, that a wider shoulder is great, but you have little kids riding right next to cars going 30 miles an hour, it's still a safety issue. It'd be better if we could have them separated a little, but I don't know how exactly to do that without costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it has always been a priority of the city, I think, here, and I think it still is, Park and Rec, I know it is, to continue doing trails. And they don't necessarily have to, like an Anchor Point, for instance. I don't think anybody suggesting they have to go all the way to the end. There's hardly anybody down at the end. But maybe go down, part way until the traffic thins out a little bit. And then you don't maybe need a trail on some areas like that. My road, for instance, is all 30 miles an hour and curvy and windy. There's plenty of bikes on every morning, people walking and biking. And once in a while, you got a zig and zag, but not very often. So some areas, I think we need to look at that, where we want to put the trails. And if we have an opportunity to separate them from the road, I think we should take advantage when we have that opportunity, and I don't know if we'll have that in every road situation.
Mr. Mayor, I just had a call from a neighbor he's on the very end of Anchor Point. His concern is with signage. He wants more signage because of all of the walkers and bikers out there in the gawkers, because he just feels it's unsafe for him now, so.
Okay. Well, we'll get, with this amount of time, as Mr. Nelson indicated, we'll have time to review the plans and have some time to
Make changes.
Negotiate whatever it is that we come up with. All right, we have a motion by Schrupp, second by Wessels, to accept the WSN proposal as defined. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have just one more thing to update, or two things to update you on. The 2016, we met with Tri-City Paving. They're going to be starting the 2016 paving project about the 1st of October. They figure it's going to take them about 3 days to do the paving and probably 3 days to do the shaping. Everybody's behind right now because of all the weather we've had. So that's the soonest they can get to us.
Okay. You're talking about the parking lot in front of
Yep.
Andy's and
All those
the
pieces.
real estate stores.
Yes.
Yep. Did you ever figure out why Holiday dug up their corner there and repaved it?
They just went ahead and did the repairs of themselves on what they had there, so.
All right. You had something else, Scott?
Yeah, one more thing is, we were talking street lighting on that Andy's corner. I've met with Crow Wing Power. They're working on the prices and the financial part of it. I do have an example in town, up and running right now, what the new style of LED downturn light sky-friendly light is. It's on the corner of Swan and 66, right there by Pine Peaks.
Okay.
This weekend, it was malfunctioning, it was blinking on and off, but they got it fixed today. It had a bad photo eye. Realize this is just a demo that's in there now. It's black and it's a green pole, so didn't want to get any comments about that, but anyway, I just want you to be aware that it's there, so take a look at it.
Thank you.
They are going to get us one other another example that we can put some other place in town so people can see it.
Super. Thank you, Ted.
And we're still working with the
Historical Society?
historical place there,
Yes, and
too.
this would all be part of it. We do it all as a project.
Help them out down there, too. Yeah. All right, thanks. Thanks, Ted.
Okay. Park and Rec, Mr. John Henke.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A few updates here. Tonight, we got another AAA senior driving class coming up on September 15th, and also on October 6th from 9 to 1, a very popular class. So if you need to take that, you can give AAA a call or call the community center, and we can hook you up with their number. One of the things that we've talked about since I've been here is having more Pequot Lake sporting events in Cross Lake, so some of the kids can have some home meets here in their hometown, and we're starting to see some of that working with Mark Helmrichs with the Pequot Lake School. He's our athletic director. Last week we had a 3-team cross-country meet here using the Nordic Ridge recreation trails at the community center site. So we had a lot of folks from out of town that came into Cross Lake and saw our beautiful park and our trails, and also took advantage of some of the restaurants after the event. So I think that's great if we can host some of those events here, and very happy that Pequot Lake School is working with our community and having some of those events here in Cross Lake. We also have another tennis tournament coming up for the second year in a row. We've had the girls' tennis team have a big tournament here. That'll be Saturday, September 17th from 9 to 4. So they'll be here all day on a Saturday. So we welcome those teams that are coming in for that tournament. And during Cross Lake Days this year, we have our annual Disc Golf Classic at the park. Starts at 2 o'clock. And that'll be Saturday, September 24th, with all the other activities that Cindy and area businesses have planned. It should be a fun day to be in Cross Lake. Soccer update. We've got about 40 kids playing this year at the K1 level, the 2nd and 3rd grade level, and also the 7th through 12th grade level. I want to send out a special thanks to our coaches, Jenny and Jeremy Max, and also Chris Cleeth, for helping us continue the soccer program in Cross Lake. I wanted to give an update on the community center improvements. Our new floor has been installed. Had lots of positive comments about the new addition. We also received some upgrades to our gymnasium. We replaced the lights and added some new LED lights in the gym with the help of Crowing Power. They gave the city a grant, covered about 20 or 25% of the cost to do that. And of course, we will see some savings in our monthly energy bills too for the community center. So a special thank you goes out to Crowing Power for that contribution. Also would like to thank the Pell Foundation for their gift to the city. We added 2 electric winches to the community center to raise and lower our baskets in the gym, and that gives us the ability to have one more pickleball court in the gym, and also gives us some flexibility when we have presentations in the gymnasium that we can raise those baskets up and we have speakers at the facility. Also improves our volleyball league that we have on Wednesday nights. So thanks to the Pell Foundation for that donation. Trail rides continue. We offer free trail rides every Wednesday morning at 10, 11, and 12. So if you haven't gone out and seen the trails of the Nordic Ridge Recreation Area, you can call and make your reservation and get on one of our free trail rides that happen every Wednesday. And those continue to be really popular, and they will be very beautiful here in the next few weeks when the leaves start to change. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, give us a call and we can get you on the list there. Annual Halloween party takes place Saturday, October 29th from noon to 2. And want to thank the Lions Club. They give us the big donation to be able to make that event possible each year. And we've had help from our American Legion also, and all the volunteers that come out and help provide a good time for the local children of our community and our area. Now Next topic, increase for our Silver Sneakers instructor. Obviously, one of our most popular programs that we have right now is Donna Kiefer's Silver Sneakers classes that we have at the community center. Donna has been teaching aerobics classes at the community center for 19 years. We are recommending a $1 increase per class for Donna. And it's one of our biggest revenue producers. The increase in revenue will more than cover the $6 a week it'll cost us to give Donna a little boost and to continue her activities here at the community center, hopefully for a while. So she's doing a great job. We'd like to reward her for that, and so I'm recommending that motion to you tonight.
Also move.
I'll second.
Motion Wessel, second Hecox. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll give you an update on our right-of-way, the lake access right-of-way update. And it's not meant to break this into a discussion. We're just coming to kind of fill you in on where we're at with this program. The Park Commission's been working on it all summer. Just want to go through a few things that'll be part of that. First of all, we've kind of decided on what the permit will look like. And thanks to Shar and Mark have been working on this for us. We found we can print these stickers out in-house. So they're going to be really affordable to be able to print out. So we can make the changes in-house, and so that's what the sticker would look like. It would go on the tongue of the trailer. For those folks that want to continue to utilize those 4 sites, that would be what we think we should use as a permit. So wanted to just kind of give you an update on what we're working on there. So is there any questions on the permit at all?
Does this mean you can drive into the lake from here? I mean, my question is, this isn't clear. It just says you got lake access.
Yeah, that'll be clear when I get to the next overhead. We're going to talk about the signs that'll be posted at the site. You'll understand exactly what you can do at that site and what you
Well,
can't do.
is this for boat launching, or is this
Boat
just for
launching,
general use?
strictly boat launching, yeah. Trailers that go into the water will require a permit at those 4
Is that going
sites.
to say so on the permit?
The rules on the sign will say so.
Well, okay.
And the application will also say
All right,
that,
good.
so.
Thank you, John.
Okay. This is the permit application. Get that on there. So it'll be a $20 fee, be a 3-year permit. So when you get a permit, it'll be good for 3 years. At the bottom of it, it talks about some of what that permit will allow you to do.
Will you have the capability here to view that video that you're talking about?
We haven't discussed that. It'd be pretty easy to do if we wanted to do that, just have a DVD player here. You know, it's basically on the honor of the person that's coming and that's applying for that permit to say that they've watched it. If they haven't watched it and they wanted to watch it at City Hall, we could very easily make that available for them. Could do the same thing at the community center if people want to go ahead and do that. So. Any questions on that form at all? That wasn't in your packet, so that's why I wanted to put it on the overhead and give you a second to look at it. Again, 3-year permit would start November 15th of this year and end in November 15th of 2019.
Okay.
And then the last example is an example of the signs that would appear at these 4 accesses. So that would go through the rules of what that permit allows you to do. Points out that if you're doing walk-in access with a canoe, kayak, or paddleboards, that does not require a permit. We're not allowing parking. The only site that we're talking about parking being available is at the Robert Street access. The other 3 sites, the parking would be prohibited, but we put a pretty kind of a vague term in there. It just says, you know, parking is regulated at each site. So it gives us some flexibility to post that at the sites themselves. We're also not allowing parking within 200 feet of that access, similar to our other public accesses that we have out on West Shore Drive. So that was one of the concerns, was it was creating a dangerous situation, especially at Robert Street, that the road was narrowing down there and people were coming over the hill and there wasn't room to avoid an oncoming car or pedestrians that were in the road. We have posted all the invasive species signs at all 4 sites, so those signs are all up. And so this is where we're at. So this gives us, you know, a little over a month, month and a half to get feedback from council members, the public, on this policy. We're scheduled right now to start November 15th. Obviously, no one's going to be putting boats in after November 15th. That's a date we just came up with at the earlier June city council meeting, I think. So we haven't, we approved the ordinance amendment, but we did not approve the publication of that ordinance yet. That would have to be done at either at the October meeting or at the November meeting. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them or try to answer them. Brad and Mark have been involved with this also, but if there's no questions, that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Is
you.
this, John, is this strictly for the general public, or is it for the dock people and everybody else?
Yeah, originally, you know, we talked about not having the dock providers, the lake service providers, they're called LSPs, that we weren't going to include those with that. After the council meeting and the public comments that we received, at least at the commission level, our feeling that is everyone should get the $20 permit. Even the lake service provider should get that. But that would be totally up to the council. I mean, that's your guys' call. We don't want to restrict business, but a lot of the folks said, why do the general public have to buy it? And the people that are making money off the docks and lifts, you know, they should have to buy it too. So that's where we're at with that. I don't think it's going to break the bank on anybody. It's $20 for 3 years. So does that answer your question, Gary? Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. City Attorney's report.
I had no report.
You've been pretty busy this month. Any old business? New business? Public forum. Anybody want to come up and indicate their interest or concern? Anything else? Motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion Rose, second Nelson. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.